All of you can see my screen?
No, sir.
Screen, no. Now can you see?
Yes.
Okay. So last class, that was about, we where the hell it went? Okay, so this is the syllabus for your 4th unit. So we saw organizational structures, which is this one. Okay, and test management we saw in the previous class. Okay, so test management tools, right? This is, if I'm correct, test management. Okay, so it's a managing testing activities like planning, execution, monitoring, etc. So this we saw in the previous class. So this class we are going to see about test planning. So how to plan a test. So a test plan, so planning, all of you know what is the meaning, right? So you draw detailed diagrams as to how to do a particular thing. Okay, so this is particularly self-explanatory. So a test plan is what? It's nothing but a document which describes strategy, objectives, schedule, estimation, deliverables. So strategy means what you are going to test, or how you are going to test, or what you are going to target. Objective is the goals. Like for example, of course, to improve the quality or to improve the running speed. These may be the objectives. Schedule is the time frame. Estimation is the cost. Deliverables are the outputs. What graphs or what quantitative output you are going to give. Resources required to perform testing for a product. So a test plan helps us to determine the effort needed to validate the quality of application under test. Okay, so the test plan serves as a blueprint to conduct various activities and everything. So this test plan broadly you can it comprises of strategy, objective, schedule, estimation. Everything is there to provide a blueprint and to define a process which will be managed by a test manager or the test management. Okay, so test plan is actually a byproduct of test management. So this is a definition. It is a document describing scope, approach, resources, schedule of intended test activities. Okay, so what is its importance, right? So mainly the first thing is that the test team, that is developers, business managers, customers, okay, they can understand the details of testing. Okay, and it is more of like a rule book, or what you have to do and how you have to do. Like for example, if you are landing a flight or plane, they have something called as a checklist what they have to do. Okay, so this is just like a rule book and will allows you to follow certain things of what and how you have to do. Then important aspects like test estimation, scope, strategy, these are all documented in the test plan so that it can be reviewed by the management team and reused for other projects. So this is one important question that you can expect in the examination: how to write a test plan. Okay, so basically there are 7 steps. The 8th one is just determining the 7. You might be wondering why there's 7 and put 8 here. The 8th one is just to determine the test deliverables. That's the outputs. The ones before that are actually the steps. So there are 7 steps, starting with analysis of the product, then the test strategy design, then the objectives, criteria, the resources being planned, the planned test environment, schedule and estimation, determining the test deliverables. Okay, so these are the 7 steps which you can expect in your examination. So we'll see each one by one. Okay, so the first one, first step is to analyze the product. So for example, you take an example like a banking software. Okay, so before testing the product, you need some information, right? So you must learn how the product functions or how each mechanism functions. Without that, you won't be able to test. So you take a banking, or for example, you take our exam software, right? Someone here is doing exam software, right? Like Amit. So you have to know what is an exam software, how we are going to enter a mark, what is the system in place. For example, our university does internal, external. So internal exam, external exam. The product under testing, for example, if it's a banking test application, means you have to know what your client needs, what the end user needs, okay, who will use the website, what kind of people will be using it, for what and all purposes. Like for example, a bank means a bank has several products like loan and all. Who is going to interface that? If I am a fresh loan applier, I will be seeking for certain information. If I am a loan payer, then I will be seeking for some other information. So how all these will work, what are the software and product users. Okay, so you can use the list of questions that is given here for doing your analysis. So requirement already you know, you have to ask them some questions. Okay, so the questions that you can pose is who will use this website, or who is the intended customers, how it will work, all those things you can use to analyze. So this is a basic analysis strategy. So when you're asking question, it's called an interview. Okay, you can interview the client, the designer, the developer. Okay, then you can review your project and documentation to find out what they have done, and then you can perform a walkthrough, go through the various steps. So this is how you can analyze your projects. The second main thing is our second step is to develop a test strategy. Okay, so how do you plan to do your software test? So that is a strategy. Okay, so it's a high level document which is developed by a test manager. Okay, and it defines 2 major things. One is the testing objectives, okay, and how you are going to achieve them, and the secondly, it determines the costs, okay, and the manpower or the effort needed to put it. Okay, so suppose you have a banking software. That means what? You have to have in test strategy, there are 4 different steps. So you have step 2.1 to 4. So first one is what? To define the scope of testing. Okay, scope of testing means what and all you are going to cover. So as a customer, I am going to the bank, so I will be looking at a portion of the bank. If it's an employee, they will be looking at another portion. Each one will be looking at different components of the. So where does your scope of your testing go? Whether it's acceptance testing, user testing, or internal testing, what type? Then once you have defined your scope, what type of test you are going to do, whether you are going to do unit testing and all those things. Then what are the risks and issues associated with it, and finally the test logistics. What is the logistics you are proposing to do it? Logistics is the resources, the amount, what you are going to bring, who is going to come, everything comes under logistics. So the first step, as we have seen, scope of testing, the components of the system to be tested, that is hardware, software, as I told. Okay, for example, if they are displaying the result, okay, if the server capacity is not that much, that means what? the people seeing the result can't access the system quite quickly. So what is the deployment, the server side? So these things come under the scope of testing. As I told, identify the type of testing, unit testing or API integration, system tests, okay, installation testing, agile testing. So these are some of things which you have to do. So these are a list of documents, risks and issues. Okay, so the team members, the first risk is team member lack the required skills for website